DPF on tap is where we chat. Got the mic and we're so glad. Talking ball and all we had. Never gonna leave you sad. Swinging hard, we take a shot. Every game we hit the spot. Fuck the Mets, we say it loud.
Well, good afternoon, everybody in DPF land. Welcome to episode 129. I'm calling it What a Week. I'll explain that in a minute. But hey, it's a Saturday. The boys don't have off much this week, so we're doing it a little bit early, and I'm going to go down to CBP again tonight. So,
Nice.
what do you guys think? You want to pay some bills? Let's do that.
Yeah,
Let's
we
do
ought
it.
to do that. We ought to do that before
Awesome.
anything else.
Very cool. So I'm going to talk about Trogs, right? DPF on Tap is sponsored by Trogs. Being a Phillies fan means three things: unrealistic expectations, irrational hatred of the Mets, and yelling "What the fuck was that?" at your television while at least 2 or 3 times a night. That's why there's Trogs PA Lager, crisp, cold Pennsylvania brewed, and ready for all 9 innings of this beautiful fucking disaster. So crack a PA Lager, boo the Mets, question every bullpen decision, and enjoy some Phillies baseball. Trogs PA Lager, because nobody should have to watch the Phillies bullpen completely sober. Go Phillies and fuck the Mets.
I'm going to talk about our friends over at Fishtown IC. This isn't your average canned drink. This is Philly in a can. Smooth, strong, and built for game days, tailgates, and bad decisions that turn into great stories. So whether you're pre-gaming, watching the game, or just trying to survive the Phillies bullpen, grab a Fishtown iced tea. Because let's be honest, Fishtown iced tea is for people who can parallel park.
Well done. All right, guys, and I'm going to talk about Jersey Sports Bar. This episode of DPF on Tap is brought to you by Jersey Sports Bar and Pizzeria in Glenside. They have great food, ice cold drinks, and every Phillies game is going to be up on the big screens, whether you like it or not. So stop into Jersey's, tell them that Drunk Phils fans sent you, and cheer on the Phils with us. And try not to break the TVs by throwing your bottles.
And finally, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Jacqueline's Liquors, because apparently somebody finally figured out how to make pumpkin spice not fucking annoying, Butcher. Grab some Jacqueline's espresso liquor and mix it with Jacqueline's pumpkin spice liquor and shake that shit over ice. And congratulations, you got a fall Philadelphia in a glass. It's coffee, it's pumpkin spice, it's booze. Basically a pumpkin spice latte for people who yell "fuck the Mets." Jacqueline's, Philly knows Philly. Go Phillies and drink responsibly. So, hey, thanks a lot, guys, for letting us do that. We got a couple of FTMs. Thankfully, like 4 people are watching us at noon. That's nice.
Damn right.
Yeah, baby. I want to jump into it, right?
Yeah.
So, I want to talk about CBP this week and kind of how it felt. And the reason why I feel like I'm equipped to do this is I went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm going today. And I will
So
tell
does that
you,
make you some kind of expert?
it does. Just this week, though. You guys went, I'll get to you guys in a minute, but you guys went yesterday, so I want to hear about that. But I was fortunate enough to go all those days, and there was like somewhere between 37,000 and 41,000 people in attendance each day. So during the week, not a bad showing, right? Currently, I'm 9-5 in games, so I've been to some games this year. That's another reason why I feel like I can chime in here. And there was like really 2 overarching moods in the stadium as I saw it. Number one was the anticipation of the trade deadline acquisitions, especially Arise, right? So we finally got to see him when he made his debut, and I think it was really cool to hear people like super excited. I saw a ton of Lenny Dykstra jerseys with like a taped Arise over the back of it, which I thought was cool. And it was just kind of like, hey, I hope these guys can, get us closer to what we want to do, and that's Red October, right? So that was the first part. And the second part was impending doom every time the bullpen gets brought into a game. And it's like palpable in the stands. Like as soon as whoever, first it was Painter with his hamstring that left us out to dry for too many innings. And, thankfully Sanchez threw, 8 and we only needed 1 inning from the bullpen, and so on and so forth. And we got a little bit of hint of the new bullpen guys in the first game, and they did okay. Then they didn't do great in the next couple of things. So um, there was those two overarching things, and then the final thing that I wanted to note before I kick it over to you guys about yesterday was there's like a tinge of concern that there's something physically wrong with Schwarber. It's not just a timing thing, and I heard that several times talking to people around the stands. So I just thought it was like a super anticipatory crowd for these new guys, and then once we got into it, a little bit of great arise, debut, and then a little bit of a letdown with the bullpen guys. So, what do you guys think about yesterday's affair?
Dugan, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously with and I'll talk about Chase Utley later, but the whole ceremony with Chase Utley, that sets the tone for the night, right? Everybody's fired up. There isn't a person in the building that didn't love to watch Chase Utley play, and you kind of wish that this team would emulate even 80% of the way Chase Utley played the game. But as far as like the Phillies and the mood, like I thought the fans like were into it from the beginning of that game, and it was obvious that Wheeler was not sharp from the get-go. And one of the things I think, and it might be the first time, I don't know if you guys have heard it, and Mike, you've been down there a lot this year as well, and so have I. When Schwarber struck out in the fifth inning with second and third, there were some boos. And that's not something that I think Schwarber is accustomed to hearing here. They got a lot louder when Turner struck out, the next batter, and then Harper goes 3-0, takes 2 fastballs right down the middle, and then swings and misses. The boos were still not – Turner got the worst of the 3. But the fact that Schwarber heard some boos was a little surprising to me because I haven't heard that before. But he's been bad since the home run derby, and maybe he's got a little back issue. Maybe he hurt something during the home run derby and he's hiding it. But he definitely doesn't look right. He's not making solid contact. Even his hits are little flares. The few hits that he's actually getting, he doesn't look like he's seeing the ball that well. And then, like you said, when the bullpen came in and it was 4-2. And Killian comes in and gives up the home run. You hear the boos again. It's just, and we'll talk about the trade deadline and what they did and didn't do coming up. So I think there's it's weird. Like the fans want to be excited. I mean, in that ninth inning, that place, the 10,000 people that were still there were fucking loud and fucking cheering. I stayed till the bitter end, and even though the Phillies didn't do shit as far as hitting the ball, the Blue Jays kept them in that game with walks and hit batter and catcher's interference and whatever else the fuck the Phillies could do to get on base without actually getting a hit. And they just couldn't take advantage of it. And you could just feel that, like, on the way out, people talking like, that's the problem with this team. That offense is too inconsistent. That, they don't get the big hit. These guys don't, come through. And Arise goes 0 for 5 and twice with the bases loaded. He didn't come through. So it was disappointing overall. That it started out great with Utley, and then it ended with disappointment.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely heard boos for Schwarber, and I'm going to talk about his slump in a little bit. But a couple things at that game that stood out to me, and it wasn't even game related. And I posted a couple of these things last night. So there was a guy who yelled "shut the hell up" during Chase Utley's speech. And we were sitting right near there. We were in section. We had Mrazek seats last night in the Hall of Fame Club. So we were one section over, I believe, from like a birthday party. So they were they were quiet for most of like the presentation and everything like that. And then they just started getting louder. And I don't know if it was kids or adults or what, but there was a guy sitting in front of us, like one row up, I think, and a little bit over. And he turned around and yelled, "Shut the hell up." And a lot of people turned around, like their heads whipped around and looked at him like he was talking to Utley. But I guarantee you he was talking to the people who were talking during the speech, because everybody there was fucking completely engrossed. Like, Chris, you can even attest to this. Like
Oh
everybody
yeah.
was just like listening to. Am I louder now, guys? Because I'm getting I'm getting told that I'm
I
being
can hear you
quiet.
fine.
You
Yeah,
sound good to me. Yeah,
people
sound
can't
good to
really
me.
hear me. So anyway, let me get closer to the mic, I guess. So essentially everybody was listening to Utley. Everybody was waiting for him to say world fucking champs again. I think everybody really was like looking for something to take with them. And unfortunately, yeah, the mic is plugged in, babe. All right, I'll work on it. Um, so yeah, so that part, Chase's part was great. And part of like seeing all the alumni there and listening to Pat Burrell's speech was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
So Pat Burrell, like, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I saw it on the Fanavision because I was streaming it. Um, Chase said something about nothing good happens after midnight, and
Yeah.
Burrell leaned back and he goes, "Well, I mean, some things just like that." And like, obviously, there's no audio of it, but you see him turn to whoever was next to him and say that, and it was fucking hilarious because everybody knows about fucking Burrell. So anyway, back
Literally
to the
fucking
game.
Burl. Everybody knows about
Mhm.
literally fucking Burl.
I heard that, man.
Just saw a girl who had a shirt on that said Pat Burrell is my biological father. That was pretty
Right,
good.
right, exactly. And it's all the ladies were swooning when he was up there talking, and then Chase got up there, and girls are just like, "He's so good." It's like, relax, ladies. He's a ball player. Like he's a dude.
He's the silver fox, baby.
That's right. Now he is, right? So anyway, long story short, I was very frustrated with the way they performed on the field. And I think fans booing, like, I think they take it a little bit extreme, and that's fucking ballsy for us to say. But I think they go a little far sometimes, and I think it's just like that herd mentality. But Schwarber right now can't figure shit out. Bohm is slower than molasses. Fucking Turner, I don't know what Turner is. It's he's about the most frustrating ball player I've ever fucking watched.
Well, he
You know what
hasn't
I
made an
mean?
error all week, so he hasn't got a hit all week. So as soon as he makes an error, then he'll get a couple of hits.
Exactly. And then the other thing that I complained about on the page, I didn't complain, but I just said people don't stand up for the national anthem.
Ugh.
We were inside the Hall of Fame club, and there was a group of guys sitting at a table right near us, and they were just talking, and the hats were on, and they just kept talking, and it got to the point where like Danielle turned, she's from Roxborough, man, she's from East Falls, she does not fuck around, so she turned around and shushed them, and and they got very indignant and very like, I'm wearing that Drunk Phil's fan, so I can't like just throw down and all that and beat them up for looking at my wife wrong. But no, it was just really funny the way that there were so many people walking around and like, where's the respect? But then again, you can't make people do this. So that was my whole rant from last night as far as the national anthem goes.
I totally agree with you, Butcher. And I will say kudos to the Phillies because we were coming in one day this week, Carrie and I, and they stopped everybody from going through the main gate while the anthem was on. And I thought that was fantastic. So
Yeah. And I am going tomorrow with Sig, so I will get a little bit more of a taste as far as CBP and the attitude down there right now.
very cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Well, we kind of touched on it, guys, but I wanted to do a little quick recap of the trade deadline and what the Phillies did at the deadline, and then get everybody's impression on reaction to the trades and did they do enough for whatever. So obviously everybody knows the Phillies acquired Luis Arraez and Caleb Killian from the Giants for two prospects, two pitchers, Ramon Marquez. I think he was like number 10 on the Phillies prospect list, and Marty Gare. And we also picked up from the Mets Brooks Raleigh, and we traded outfielder John Spikerman and a right-handed pitcher Luke Gabrich. So obviously Arraez he's the crown jewel of this trade deadline, and his first handful of games here has been pretty impressive up until last night. He's looked really good. I know we were all kind of debating where you should bat in the lineup, and when they came out and he was cleanup, everybody was my mind included, was like, what are we doing? This guy's a 1 or 2 hitter, but it's working. Whatever, he's driving in runs from that spot. So don't change what's working until last night, obviously, when it didn't work. But everybody knows what to expect. It did, cause some defensive shifts, obviously. Everybody's moving around. It's like Keystone Cops in the infield now. Everybody's got a new position. So far, I don't think it's hurt them, at least in the infield. I do think there was a ball the other night that Harper probably should have caught, the double off the bottom of the wall. That's just rust not being out there, I think, and maybe in a couple weeks or month he'll track that ball down. Killian, to me, Killian is Seth Johnson light. He throws hard, 95, but he don't throw 99 like Seth Johnson. But he can't get anybody out, just like Seth Johnson. It's the same guy with less fastball. His first outing, but he's also being used. Like Seth Johnson, if you remember, Mattingly brought him into every fucking game. Killian's been in 3 times already since he's been here. 4 games he's been here. He's been in 3 times, and he's given up runs in 2 of those 3 games. So he was a guy that when the trade was announced, I didn't know anything really about him. Looked at his numbers. It was like a mid 4.3 ERA or whatever. You start reading some into him, and they're talking about like those advanced metrics and, but his advanced metrics tell you this and tell you that. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe this guy's a diamond in the rough, and his numbers are a little inflated by a couple of bad, games early in the season or whatever. But he looks like a 4th or like a 5th inning, 6th inning type mop up guy. So he's not really a needle mover. Brooks Rowley, I think, is going to be really good for the Phillies because that's been a hole that they've had. Back end of the bullpen, left-hander. We all know that Alvarado's been, awful most of the season. He'll go through a stretch of 3 or 4 games where he looks great, and then he can't throw a strike his next 3 outings. Tanner Banks has been terrible all year. The only consistent lefty they've had is Meza. Meza's been pretty decent, but he's not a guy that you're going to put in high leverage situations. Fucking T-Mac, he black catted Brooks Rowley the other night when he said, the Phillies didn't score a run off them all season, and boom, the next batter hits a fucking home run. So T-Mac, thanks for that. But I think he's going to be good. I think that's a nice pickup. But overall, I don't think the Phillies did enough. I think they're going to, Arise definitely changes the lineup. They're still missing right-handed power. They weren't able to get that. I still thought they needed another starter because, God forbid, something happens to, Wheeler, Sanchez, or Luzardo. That's it. You're done. Painter has pitched better his last 2 starts, even though he left his last one after 4. But I think it's like 3 earned runs in 10 innings since he's been called back up. Nola's been better, but I was really looking for them to get like a veteran guy that could pitch, down the stretch of the regular season and possibly make a playoff start if necessary in like a 7-game series where you might need a 4th starter, kind of like a Noah Syndergaard did back in 22. He was kind of that floater guy. He could give you innings in the bullpen. He could start if you need him. I was hoping to get that guy, and I really thought they needed another impact bullpen guy because I still think if you're running out Killian and Sugar, you got 2 guys that are basically worthless. They're mop up. You got 2 mop up guys down there, and Alvarado's a crapshoot. Kerkering, his ERA don't look bad, but he's not good when he comes in with men on base. He's been wild. His control hasn't been great, especially of late. So I don't think they did enough, to get them over the hump here. And I don't know if that was just, holding those top prospects too close to the vest and not wanting to deal, or if there really just wasn't anybody out there, to acquire. But I don't think they did enough to overtake the Dodgers.
When you hear Dombrowski say, we just ran out of time, when the trade deadline is. And you
know your needs.
Entire season leading up to it. That makes me nuts, man. I can't understand.
Not only that, but there were teams who pulled off last minute deals that ended up like looking really good. They just didn't pull the trigger. because there were deals out there to be made. There were players to be gotten. Like the Blue Jays traded Gossman and then ended up fucking picking up Soriano. So don't tell
Yep.
me like there weren't trades to be made, you know.
Yeah.
And the Blue Jays aren't like they aren't stacked at the minor league level. You know, they had decent prospects or they had just enough to get the deals done. But what the fuck, man? Like it's always there's always a fucking excuse with this guy and with this regime, I guess you would say. Yeah, it's just really fucking frustrating.
I thought the Padres, who are chasing the Phillies, were way more aggressive than the Phillies were getting pitching. You know, I mean, they got like Casey Mize from. I know he didn't have a great debut for them, but they got him right at the wire there. He was like the last transaction that went through. You know, where would the Phillies want a guy like that? He's young. You know, I think he has a couple controllable years left too. Like he would be the perfect guy to bring in. You know, but. I was disappointed. I was happy to get Arraez. I mean, I've loved that guy since he was with the Marlins. Like, that's the type of hitter we always say the Phillies need, and that's the type of hitter we want Turner to be. That's the type of hitter I want to see Justin Crawford, you know, develop into.
And
stop, yeah. And, you know, to have a guy like that, hopefully, you know, rubs off on some of those guys that are not the big power hitters or the big swings and kind of shows them the way of just, hey, put the ball in play, fellas. Good things will happen, you know. But I don't get it.
What about this here? Do you think Dave's infatuated with Painter?
I think Dave's infatuated with being right, and he wants to make sure that the guy that they touted as the next great thing gets every opportunity to be that.
Yeah, it's fucking frustrating. I think that they did what they always do. And yeah, this is just a team. I think Arraez is going to turn out to be the guy who fucking brings this team together like the glue. I think once he settles in, I don't like him at 4. I want him at 1. I don't like Turner up there, and I don't like Schwarber up there. I think it's got to be Arraez, Turner, Schwarber, Harper.
I think if you look at the numbers, though, Rob, Turner has been better this year at a leadoff spot than he has been in the 2-hole. I don't mind Arraez too. You know,
I don't mind Arraez too, you know, and if they do the 3 lefty thing, that's fine. It seems that they've kind of let go of that in terms of like worried about like left right matchup bullshit.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, I wanted to move on. I want to go to Sanchez. I wanted to talk about Sanchez's pursuit of 20 wins because we haven't had a 20-game winner since Halladay, right? In 2010. So, you know, it's for the Phillies to have a 20-game winner, I think is going to be significant. I think that they should really try to push for him to get his starts. I think it's something like 7 or 8 8 starts before the end of the year. He's got about, it looks like he's going to line up for that many. So essentially what I would like to see is for them to get him matched up against the right teams, obviously. So let me pull this up. Yeah, I mean, 20 wins isn't really that common anymore anyway, like especially like the most recent seasons. I don't know who the last 20-game winner was. I'd have to pull it up. But like keeping the pitch count down, pulling him, you know, when he's, you know, not at his sharpest. We saw that last night with Wheeler. Like Wheeler wasn't sharp, and Wheeler's another guy. I mean, like you were saying, or Dugan, you were saying about there's something going on with Schwarber. I think there's definitely something going on with. So
the last 20-game winner, Rob, was Kyle Wright in 2022 with the Braves. He won 21 games.
See, and that's not even a guy anybody knows about.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's the shit that kills me. I think that all right, let me pull it up. He's got about 26% chance right now, I think is what it says. That's a 35% chance of winning the Cy Young. And then if he reaches 20 wins, that jumps up to like 45%. So I think for Sanchez himself, a 20-win season would be huge. It would be monumental for him. It would really cement him. I think he's an ace as it is. But with the uncertainty with Wheeler and the uncertainty with fucking baseball next year, it would be really good to go out with the 20 game fucking, winning 20 games from fucking Sanchez. Somebody says, Robert says in the comments, Miz and Otani. I don't think Otani's got a shot now at the
the injury. Yeah.
between the injuries. I mean, he's got the great ERA and he wins. He's got a great winning percentage, but I just don't think he's gonna pitch enough. The Miz seems to have cooled off, I believe.
I think he makes a good point though, Robert, here. If Sanchi gets to 20 or better, he has a better shot because all you hear about is Mizorowski. He threw 100 pitches, 66 of them were 101 or
Right.
more. Like there's a ton of hype. Otani, for some reason, everybody says, he's the best thing since sliced bread. Whatever. He pitches, he hits, great. But like also you guys said, as you said, he's hurt. He probably won't pitch him much the rest of the season. So I get that. That's actually a good point by Robert. To stand out, 20 wins would be nice.
Agreed. And you're looking at the company that he would keep at that point if he does get to 20 wins. You're talking about, Roy Halladay and Steve Carlton and Robin Roberts and there's a handful of others, like especially since 1950, I believe it was. They're all either Hall of Famers or they're like franchise legends. And I think Sanchez is he's got the potential to really reach that status in terms of guys that are just, okay, he was a great Philly. I don't know that he's there yet, but I think the 20-win season would fucking definitely do that.
Yeah.
And we hate to do the Mount Rushmore thing, but if you're talking about starters, I hate to do the fucking Mount Rushmore thing. But if you're talking about starters, you got Roberts, Carlton, Halladay, and right now it's probably Hamels, I would imagine. Wheeler is making a strong case, but Sanchez with a 20-win season, and if he backs it up, I mean, the guy's fucking ERA is 2.16 or 2.64. Yeah, he's just having a dominant season. I apologize, guys. I'm all fucking worked up over my microphone. I don't know.
You sound great to us, man. You're coming through.
Good to me. Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
good.
you're coming through. Now, let me ask you guys a question because Rob, you touched on it with Sanchez about being smart when he's not sharp, getting him out of the game, and given how dependent the Phillies are on their starting pitching, especially the top three. Anybody shocked that they let Wheeler throw 115 pitches last night?
Yeah.
I mean, I was really surprised that I know that last at bat was 15, 16 pitches to that last guy, but that means he entered that inning, 90 plus already. I was kind of surprised about that,
So the only
letting them throw that.
Yeah, the only caveat there, though, is remember the last outing he threw 32 pitches and
That's
2
true.
innings because of the rain-shortened game. So I think that's why Donnie Baseball gave him a little rope there. But yes, I am shocked because 120 pitches is his absolute most all-time, and he got to 115 last night.
115, yeah, somewhere in that ballpark.
So
yeah,
that's pushing his all-time high in pitches for a single outing. So, yeah, I'm totally shocked, especially with how short the leash has been for everybody this year.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. Is it's I understand that he's the workhorse and all that, and I understand that you need him to go deep, especially because everybody else has been so bad. Like this fucking bullpen, like these guys are just exhausted. Whether it's fucking Seth Johnson or fucking Tanner Banks or Tim Mayza. Tim Mayza is fucking killing it this year because he just takes the mound.
Pennsburg's own.
Is he? Is that where he's from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I just think that Sanchez's chase of 20, I really want him to get there. I really think I just really think that number means a lot, especially to a franchise like this, and especially considering that the last person who did it was Roy Halladay, and I wasn't even sure Halladay was a Hall of Famer like when he retired, just because I wasn't sure that he did it long enough or he had enough wins. But when you look at the whole of his work, he was fucking a Hall of Famer. And you watch the fucking Phillies right now shit in the bed and underachieving, and you're like, all right, well, who can we grab onto that's going to fucking like put that glint in our eye and make us think like, okay, this guy's a fucking future Hall of Famer or whatever the case may be. He's a great,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, Sanchez has moved into that spot where when it's his day to start, you expect to win.
Right.
Like you expect to win the game every time he takes the mound, and that's pretty special to have that. The fans have that much confidence in you. I think Wheeler's the same way. When Wheeler, when they don't win a Wheeler start, it's like, oh, what the fuck, we lost a Wheeler start. Like that's hard to, it's hard to grasp because those two guys have been so good. I hope he gets it. I mean, yeah, I think 8 or 9 starts. He's got to win like half of them to get there. I mean, you look at like what did Skeens win the last 2 years? He had like 10 wins and won the Cy Young. I mean, now so wins are not necessarily reflective on the pitcher because Skeens had like a sub-2 ERA the last 2 years. They just didn't score any runs for him. I mean, I think DeGrom won it one year with like 7 wins, I think.
Yeah,
but his ERA like 1.1 or something like that.
DeGrom probably had 260 strikeouts too, like that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So there are other metrics, but I do think that wins are. I think
20 wins pops. It definitely pops because you just don't see it anymore.
And that's what I was when I did the research and all that. It said that like the 20 wins puts him in that air above guys like Mizorowski and who the fuck was the other guy?
I mean, think about it. If you look back, I'd love to see. I don't know the numbers. Like, how many times did Wheeler win 15 games? And Taijuan Walker did it a couple years ago, like because the Phillies scored 8 runs a game every fucking time he started. Like so like his wins were not necessarily reflective of how well he pitched. It was how well the team supported him. Like, so it's crazy. Like I don't think Nola's a 3-win pitcher this year. He's pitched better than 3 wins. He hasn't been great, but there's been games where they haven't scored any fucking runs for him, So it's hard, but I think, to have that many decisions is kind of surprising, for Sanchez to have that many decisions already. And
right. And that's rare too, because, did you see last night they were doing before it was like the rain delay before the Utley ceremony. And they were talking about that season. And like one of the first things they showed from the 2008 season was Phillies again failed to give Hamels run support.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, Hamels was one of those guys, man. Like he was definitely one of those dudes who just never got fucking run support. Here's something funny. You talk about wins and what kind of stat it is. Mitch Williams in 1991, he had 30 saves, but he also had 12 wins.
Yeah.
For a closer to have 12 wins is fucking nuts.
They were used different though back then too. They would come in like the 8th inning. Like they were not just 1 inning when we're winning, come in. They were used differently. But true. 12 wins, for a closer, that's crazy. Either that or he blew the save and they won it in extra innings.
Could be. All right, guys. I'm gonna do a little reoccurring theme. You guys remember the Dumbass of the Week? Let's do one of those.
Nice.
And guess what? Haven't done Florida in a while, so let's get to a No Dumbass in Florida. So 32-year-old gentleman we'll call Red faces felony littering charges. Yes, that's right. If you dump more than 500 pounds of trash illegally, littering becomes a felony. Red dumped. You guys want to take a stab at how many pounds of litter this guy dumped?
2,000's a ton, so I'll say 2,000 pounds.
Litter?
Butcher?
If it's litter, I'll go like 1,500 pounds.
Yeah. Red dumped 26,040 pounds of construction debris and waste from his home in the Ocala Wildlife Management Area in Marion County, Florida. Red was hired to haul away the debris and dispose of it legally. He ignored that last part. Red admitted to being responsible when the resource liaison for Marion County's litter task force caught up with him. He caught up with him because with some of his personal waste was his address, and they just went and found him at his house. So Red was released on $2,500 bond and is awaiting a hearing. So I figure there's 2 reasons why Red's the Dumbass of the Week this week. for dumping 26,000 plus pounds of garbage in a wildlife area with personal garbage that identified you. That's the first reason. And second is because there's an actual task force for litter in Florida. That's your dumbass of the week, guys.
Hey, Red, I work in waste management, so give me a call next time. I'll get you a dumpster. I'll get you a deal, buddy. I'll hook you up, Red.
Robert says he's probably a Marlins fan. I think Robert had a bunch of coffee this morning. He's on fire.
He's all fired up. Well, we need him.
Right?
Now your mic sounds funny to me, Rob. I don't know if you were messing with it, but now it sounds funny.
Well, I changed my mic.
The other one was better.
You think so?
It definitely was, 100%.
Am I echoing or am I?
You sound hollow. You sound low and hollow.
I am hollow.
That's the whole. While Rob works on his technical difficulties, we'll move on here. So one of the guys that we mentioned while we were talking about Arise and hoping this guy rubs elbows and some of Arise's approach rubs off on him is Bryson Stott. But even before Arise got here, our boy Stotty has really been swinging the bat well this year. We all fondly remember 2023 when he hit 280 and had a 747 OPS, and we said, "Here's our next Chase Utley. This is our guy. Like, he's going to be great." And he had a couple of down years, but so far this year, overall 258. That OPS is back up to 745 compared to 747 in 23, and recently he's been really swinging the bat well for the last couple months, probably since the beginning of June. So I want to take a look at his numbers, and the first half he hit 249 with a 700 OPS, but since the All-Star break, 20 games, he's hitting 307 with a 967 OPS. He's really picked it up. In March and April, he was at 207, 227 in May, 287 in June, 287 in July, and he's hitting 389 so far in August. In August, he's got like an 1100 OPS. He had 800 in July, close to 800 in June. The number that's been good all year for him, and this is what he did really well back in 23, was runners in scoring position. He's hitting 329 on the season with runners in scoring position. And they have his transition to third has been really smooth. And I'm glad Robert brought that up because I wanted to mention it. Like, what a team player. The guy's going to be, he's probably the favorite to win the Gold Glove at second base this year. And he moved positions to accommodate, our big acquisition. And he's looked great. I mean, like I said, I think as a whole, the infield's looked pretty good. It even picked up Turner a little bit. He hasn't made an error since they shifted everybody around. Other than one little blip in right, I think Harper could have caught that one ball. It hasn't really affected their defense. It might have even improved it. But Baseball Reference has these stats that they put out, like these clutch stats. Runners in scoring position being 329. They have 2 outs in runners in scoring position. Another thing that Stott was really good at a couple years ago was his 2-out hitting, his 2-strike hitting. He's hitting 310, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Late and close games, 320. High leverage situations, 315. And if you look at his splits, lefty versus righties, he's actually hitting better against lefties this year than he is against righties, which was the knock on him, was that he couldn't hit lefties, and Thompson would always play Sosa, and put him on the bench. So I think the fact that he's getting to play every day this year, he's not having those days off against lefties. We're starting to see him become that hitter we thought he could be. And I was ready to give up on him, especially when he started the season 207 or 214 or whatever the hell he was through May. Like, come on, this dude, But the thing with that, when they keep trying to move him up in the lineup, he doesn't seem to have success when he's hitting in the upper part of the lineup. He seems to be much better 6th or below. Like, I don't know why. That just seems to be the spot that he's comfortable hitting in. Maybe he sees better pitches back down there, and he does his damage from the bottom portion of the lineup. But he's been fun to watch for the last couple months, and you hope that he I hope we didn't get a good Bryson Stott because Marsh went the other way, like we traded, um, hopefully Marsh picks it back up, Arise, starts rubbing off on all these guys. But Stott's been really good for 2.5 months now, and hopefully it continues into October and gives us another bat to go with Arise, just another quality hitter that has good at bats every time up.
Yeah, a couple follow-ups on what you were saying. Last night they said since June 1st he's overall hitting 299, which is great. The other comment was not you remember how we used to post about him popping up to shallow left field? You don't see a hell of a lot of those anymore. And I think to your point about the defense not suffering, I think we didn't move Turner, and all of us were kind of screaming, why don't we just move Turner to the outfield and put Stott at short? And that's less moves than we're hearing we're going to make. And so I think when Turner hears this, he's like, shit, I better play better because all these guys are moving around, specifically Harper. But to your point, Stott's having a gold glove type year at second. This guy's willing to move. I better get my head on my ass and start fielding shortstop. And I think that's what's happened a little this week. Now he has to get his head out of his ass and actually hit and field at the same time. But hey, baby steps.
Yeah, I think Dugan, you were one of the people who were saying that Stott is key to this lineup. That was earlier, like as the season was getting going, him and Bohm, and they were both fucking disappointments at that time. But that's exactly it. It's like if Stott can start pulling the ball, like you don't really want him to be a dead pull hitter, but you want him to pull the ball. You want him to spray it a little bit, not popping out the fucking shallow left like Mike brought up. And it's good to see. It's when he's not in this pressure situation. Like if he's batting in that top five, anywhere in that top five, he's expected to drive in runs. And then I think he forces his swing, and I think that's why he pops out a lot. I think he's just a lot more relaxed when he's down in that bottom half of the order.
Yeah.
Plus I love when he gets on base because he's a good base runner compared to the rest of the fucking team.
Yeah, I 20. What they say he's only like one of 4 players for 20 for 20 in a season in Phillies history. To have 20 straight steals to open a season. But like as far as like his RBIs too, like 23 at 62, he's already at 52 now in the early part of August. So we still have the month of August and all of September to go for him to surpass that that RBI total. I think he's 4th on the team in RBIs this year. So it's been a nice bounce back season for Stott, and probably a really good time for him because they have to make a decision if he's part of their future or not. Like is he want to be one of their guys moving forward? And I think he's putting his best foot forward so far this year. And if he can swing the bat like this, I want him. His gloves is A+. So if he's going to swing the bat this consistently, all the time, I definitely want him somewhere in that lineup for the next 5 years.
I agree. Him and Harper are boys too, so I think that goes a long way. We know that Harper chooses what uniforms they're going to wear.
I actually liked that yesterday. I did like that.
I did.
It was actually like aware. It was actually like something that like it means that Harper's tuned in. So that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's talk about Schwarber's slump. Basically, I pulled up his numbers since the break. He's hitting 180. He has 1 home run and 5 RBIs. He's got 11 hits and 61 at bats. He's walked 13 times, so his on base percentage is .333, which I mean, it's not great. Like we need him to do more, but something seems to be off with this guy. Something seems to be like maybe it's his back. I don't know, but we need him on base. We need him driving in runs, and we need him in a good fucking headspace. I think that's the worst part about it is when he's getting booed and when he's getting, when he's in a slump. It's kind of brutal to watch because the fans start fucking losing their patience with him. Now he does have discipline. Like last night or lately, he's been swinging at shit, and I think he's chasing. He's got a little bit of that Trey-itis because I think he's trying to do a lot. But he's streak dependent, as they say, because he goes on these power streaks where he hits a fucking ton of home runs in a short span, and then he goes into a little bit of a drought. Um, right, Statcast shows that his average exit velocity is 93.2 miles an hour, hard hit percentage 52%, which is among the top in Major League Baseball. So if you believe in those stats, Schwarber's having a fantastic year. Um, so where do you guys stand with Schwarber in terms of like what does he have to do, or what is he not doing, and does he need some time off?
So for me, I think we should ban all Phillies players from doing the home run derby from now on because
Agreed. Now
this
let's say
happened to
that with
Bohm.
Justin Crawford.
Something. This happened to Bohm. Now it's happening to. It happened to Harper a little bit in the beginning of this second half, and he adjusted. It's happening to Schwarber, and it happened to Jordan Walker too. By the way, because Jordan Walker has 0 home runs
That's right.
since the home run derby. So no, in all seriousness, I do think there's something tweaked with him that the Phillies are notorious for holding back information on injuries and maybe a day or two off. I think Robert asked when's the last time he had a day off. I think it was last week. He had like 2 in a row because he had some sort of like stomach issue. But
Right.
maybe he needs a 10-day stint right now so that he resets, fixes whatever that tweak is that they're not telling us about, and gets his rhythm back before we go into this end of August, September run to the playoffs. So just my opinion.
I'm really shocked, like a guy like Schwarber, though, that the home run derby would affect him because he's a home run hitter. His swing's a home run swing. So I'm surprised that that the derby, because I'm sure in batting practice, which is what the home run derby is, he's cranking them into the upper deck left and right. I think one of the big problems that with Schwarber is he's definitely chasing a lot more than he normally does. He usually is pretty disciplined. Um, he's not seeing the ball. I don't think he's seeing spin real well right now. Breaking stuff. He's swinging at balls in the dirt. And he may be banged up. And if he's banged up, I don't know why the Phillies just don't give him a couple days. I mean, you can DH Harper, and put De La Cruz or Hill out and right. Christ, you could even put Arise at first base. He played a lot of first base for the Padres, and set your infield back to where it was, and just make the change in right field for a couple games. There's options if he's banged up, and just give because if you're going anywhere in October, Kyle Schwarber's got to be the guy to take you there. He's got to lead you, and the magenta ball there you go, Junior. I love when he walked off. You heard him say that you threw the wrong ball. But I'm surprised that the home run derby would affect. Like I could see it affecting Bohm. He's not a home run hitter, and he tried to change his launch angle or whatever to hit balls 500 feet. And guys like that who are not home run hitters that participate, I can see it. But a guy like Schwarber, I'm shocked. So I think there's more going on than the home run derby with him. I just think he's really struggling.
I like this comment. He should be hitting 4 in, I think, all of our opinions, and maybe that helps. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you guys? Well, Chris, you were at the game. Mike, did you see last night on the broadcast? Because we were inside the club at the time. One of his at bats, I think it was like the 4th inning. It was a terrible at bat. Like he was chasing and everything. And then they flashed to the booth, and Jimmy was sitting in between T-Mac and Kruk, and you could just see him shaking his head. Like he just like Jimmy loves hitting. He wasn't always a great hitter, but you know that he and Charlie used to have those legendary conversations about hitting. Like they loved talking hitting. And when he's watching a guy like Schwarber struggle, like you're gonna read it all over his fucking face. And it was very telling, I thought.
Agreed. I saw that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The question was, are you worried? I'm currently not worried because I think he's professional enough to figure it out. However, if it is some sort of injury, then I'm a little bit worried that they're not going to take care of it soon enough to get him right for a run at Red October. So that's just to answer that question that you threw out there earlier, Rob.
Yeah. We have to remember that this is an aging team.
Yeah.
Some of these guys could start breaking down.
Yep. And he plays every day. I know he don't play the field, but he's in the lineup every day, short,
Which means he's taking batting practice every day, which means he's in the cage every single inning, basically underneath. So there is a lot of effort exerted there. So good point.
And a big boy run the bases too when he gets on. So
Ted, I love that Ted.
That double yesterday. The dude sitting next to us going,
All right, guys, I'm going to steal one of Chris's segments because I love it, and he's not here. So we're going to do a rank these, all right? I'm going to go Butcher first and set Dugan up for his next topic. So, Rob, rank these coffee experiences. Ready?
How many?
5.
All right.
Aristaeus.
4.
7 Brew.
Never had it. 5.
my girls say
Ellis?
it's the best coffee ever.
So does Natalie. Ellis Coffee.
3.
Espresso from the Lanuti Social Club.
Oh, shit. I'll give it 2 because I know you're going to throw it at me.
Toasty Roasters.
Number 1, baby. Number 1.
There we go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
number 1.
All right, Dugan. I got Utley moments for you, my friend.
Okay.
Tejada Slide.
I loved it because it was a Met. But it's kind of a black eye. I think people look negatively on Chase, so I'll put that at 5.
Fake Out Throw.
That's number 1. That's just baseball IQ at the highest level.
I think he got you.
35-game hitting streak.
That's a 4. It's nice.
World fucking champions.
That's 2.
First hit Grand Slam.
That's 3. I like my number 1. I appreciate baseball heads upness, and that in the moment, in that situation, that's a guy thinking 3 pitches ahead of what's happening, and all he had to do was make a great throw, and he did, and that changed that basically that play was Chase Utley in one play.
Absolutely.
If that's the only play you ever saw of Chase Utley's career, you could go, that guy was a good fucking baseball player.
And what's funny is that World fucking Champions was out of character.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. The best part of that is you see him say World Champions, and he looks at all the guys like, do I do it? Do I do it? Like that's what made that classic,
Well, again, a little insight from Jimmy last night. He was like, there may or may not have been a little bit of alcohol there. There may or may not have been a little bit of peer pressure there. So that was
Jason Worth was absolutely hammered that day. He was.
Pat Burrell.
Oh, Pat Burrell too. Yeah.
When that fucking float went by, I was at Broad and Pine, and you could tell these guys
Yeah.
were just fucking glassy-eyed and everything.
Yeah. No, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And thanks for that, Mike. So yeah, I wanted to talk about Chase Utley. Obviously, he had his night last night, and we're having a little fun on the page today because that fucking plaque is. Holy shit! I don't know who that guy is on that plaque. If it didn't have the name Chase Utley, I would have been like, was that guy the vendor that sold me popcorn back at the vet? Like, what the fuck? But yeah, hopefully they fix that. When they showed it on the big screen last night, Rob, I don't know if you saw it. I thought it was a bad angle because I'm like, Jesus Christ, that nose looked huge, and then Rob McElhenney came out and gave him a replica one, and when they showed that one, I went, "Oh God, that's great. That's Chase Utley." I'm like, hopefully it was a bad angle on the one out on the wall, but no, it was not. I said I put on the page today. It reminded me of that Ronaldo statue where he had the goofy face, and so hopefully they fixed that. But so let's talk about look at it. Oh my God,
Oh,
holy shit.
What did they do to this poor guy?
Oh, and who accepted that and said, "Oh my God, this is perfect. We're going to put this on the wall forever." Got him.
Somebody be out there trying to take some of that nose off.
Oh my God. Christ. But all right, so I want to look. I want to look at Chase Utley and his kind of his Hall of Fame credentials. So he's been on the ballot 3 years so far. In 24, he got 28% of the vote. 25, he got 39.8%, and in 26, he got 59.1. So you need 75% of the vote to get elected to the Hall of Fame. So I was looking at some of his career numbers. He's got some really good numbers. This is compared to other second basemen in Major League history. So there's 21 second basemen currently in the Hall of Fame.
Gotcha.
In all, yeah, in the Hall of Fame. So some of his highlights. So home runs. He's got 259 career home runs. That ranks 9th all time for second baseman. RBIs. He's got 1,025. That's 16th all time. Slugging percentage. 465 slug. 9th all time. 823 OPS. 9th all time. Doubles. 411. 17th all time. Hits. 1,885. 36th all time. Runs, 1,103, 28th all time. So he's a top 30 shortstop statistically. If you just look at,
Second.
the stats. If you look at the traditional stats, got some really good one, top 10 in 3 or 4 categories, top 20 in others, top 30 in others. Then you look at I just looked at when he went to the Dodgers, he was like 30. In his late 30s. So I'm just looking at his production as a Philly in the postseason. 262 with 10 home runs and 25 RBIs in 46 games. A 902 OPS, in the playoffs. So not only was he good in the regular season, he was a really good performer in the postseason. And then I kind of went down a rabbit hole of the sabermetrics world. So there's this mathematician named Jeff Jaffe, who wrote a book called the Cooperstown Casebook, and he created his own stat metrics that took the 7 best WAR years that each player had, and kind of put a mathematical calculation together with the rest of his career to kind of determine somebody's Hall of Fame worthiness based on their best 7 seasons. So when you looked at, he called it the Jaws, and so 7 years plus, so the average of the 21 guys that are currently in the Hall of Fame is 56.6. Chase Utley's is 56.9. So he's slightly higher than the average of the 21 guys that are in there. And when you look at guys that are in the Hall of Fame that are less than Chase Utley, it's guys like Roberto Alomar, Craig Biggio, Joe Gordon, Billy Herman, Jeff Kent, Bobby Doerr, Nellie Fox, Johnny Evers, Tony Lazzari, Rod Schoenheis, Bill Mazeroski, and Miller Huggins. So there are 12 guys in the Hall of Fame currently that are lower in this metrics than what Utley is. And when you looked at some of overall WAR, he was 9th. He was a top 10 guy in a lot of these categories, but this one where he took the 7 best seasons, his is better than the average of the 21 guys that are in the Hall of Fame. And I was kind of looking the voting and his projection, what's going to happen. So he is projected to make the Hall of Fame at some point, and the projections are saying it'll be somewhere between 2027 and 2029 that they think he'll get the 75% needed to get in the Hall of Fame. And I think he deserves it. I think, if he didn't have the knee injuries, I think he was a shoo-in. I think he might have been a first ballot. But I think the knee injuries kind of stole a little bit from him in those 33 to 36 age, seasons where he wasn't the same player that he was. But for those years that he's with the Phillies, I mean, he was the best second baseman in baseball, and I don't even think there was.
He was consistently the best second baseman in baseball back then.
Yeah, I mean, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs out of a second baseman, unheard of.
Jeff Kent being in, I think, is his strongest case, and then I think the Phillies adding him to the wall this year kind of boosts him for next year as well.
And even as a defensive player, that was the knock on him when he first came up. He wasn't a good defensive second baseman, and he turned himself into a really, really solid defensive player. And Mike, you touched on it earlier, like his hustle. I mean, if he thought he could get a ball, he dove for it. I swear he dove for balls that went over the fence. Like they were home runs and he was diving. Like the guy played the game dirty. He played the game to win, and I mean, I think his credentials speak Hall of Fame, and I think his double play partner should be not far behind him either. I think.
I agree. I
Yeah.
think out of the three main guys from that run, not including pitchers, I think that those two more than Ryan Howard. Although what Ryan Howard did was fucking amazing. He had
Yeah.
a stretch; it just wasn't as long.
As long, exactly.
Jimmy's MVP
Guys.
season was out of this fucking world. And-
Guys, they have the 5th most double plays turned all time. Those two,
right? Exactly.
5th most.
Exactly. And how
I
many?
learned that
together?
last night. 11? No, 13. 13, I think.
Yeah, no, I think he's a Hall of
That's a
Famer.
crazy stat. Yeah, I agree with you.
I think he's a Hall of Famer, and I think he gets in. I think you're right. I think that 27 to 29 window is about. All right,
Yeah.
guys. I'm going to do cup of coffee real quick. Just because I have coffee here and Dale was on the podcast and I can't leave him hanging, and plus I just like doing it. So today's cup of coffee, of course, brought to you by Toasty Roasters Coffee. They're located in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania. Dale had said, like, see if you like it first before having, the coffee in my cup during the podcast and all that. And I tried it and I like it. So thank you, Dale. Toasty Roasters, guys, go check them out. ToastyRoasters.com. I talked to him yesterday, and he's working on putting together a promo code for all you DPF followers.
Oh, nice.
Out there. Yeah, so I'll let you know as soon as that comes out. All right, so I had 2 cups of coffee. The one I'll save, and I'll just tell you, it was fucking Ryan Sandberg. So we won't talk about Sandberg. I want to talk about Cuckoo Curry. All right, and that was his actual legal nickname. And this guy is like, if you blinked, you fucking missed his cup of coffee. He was an outfielder who appeared in exactly one major league game in his entire life, another one of those guys. And it happened for the Phillies on September 25th, 1945. World War II was winding down, and the rosters were a patchwork of wartime fill-ins and 18-year-olds. He was inserted into a late-season game against the Boston Braves. He got into one game, logged one official plate appearance, and went 0 for 1. And then one of the things that I like to do when I do these cups of coffee is find out kind of like what happened after the fact. That was it. One game, one at bat, 0 hits, career batting average of 0.00. Cuckoo Curry never played another inning in the major leagues, and he just kind of disappeared into baseball history. So if you guys want something to look up Cuckoo Curry, COOCOO Curry, CURRIE. He had a little cup of coffee with the Phillies back in 1945. So it lasted about maybe 2 hours. So
That's cuckoo.
right?
They had some great nicknames back then, didn't they?
It's just Puddinhead.
Everybody had a nickname. It's awesome.
That was the man.
That's awesome.
All right, y'all. Hey, thank you so much, DPFers, for tuning in on Saturday afternoon. Let's get a win today, and then get a series win tomorrow. And hey, if you're 45 years old or older, get yourself checked out colonoscopy-wise. It could save your life. It saved mine. Thanks, everybody. Fuck the Mets.
Fuck Joe Carter.
Fuck the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays.
Whoa, hey now.
Fucking right.
QB seeing it.